Welcome to the Real Chili Podcast.
And the Golden Eagles of Marquette University in Milwaukee are bound for the Final Four for only the third time ever.
5 seconds left. Marquette down by one, trying to avoid the upset. Blue the drive, the left hand. It's good. 1 second to play. Vander Blue has put Marquette in front by one.
And I want to win every day as basketball players, as students, and I want to win every day, most importantly, as people.
Welcome, everybody, to a Tuesday night edition of the Real Chili Podcast, a thankfully victorious edition of the Real Chili Podcast. I'm Brian Henry, Pete Mohan, Pete Worth, alongside tonight. Marquette takes down the Providence Friars in, here's the understatement of the week and of the year, my God, a win they badly needed, and they got it. Pete Mohan, thank the Lord.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was expecting a loss coming into this game until I saw Vegas come out with the line saying, well, I think it opened at 2.5 and ended up at 4. And I was like, all right, so they really think we're actually going to win this. And, I watched a lot of the Providence Xavier game over the weekend, and the way Providence played in that game well enough to win, I was honestly nervous for their combination of Watson and David Duke, the Black Klansman.
Stop it! Sweet Jesus! And you couldn't even get 2.5 minutes into this before you did that. I should have known better.
Hey, he's a great movie and a great player.
Anyways, Marquette did. They came out in a flurry, as we've seen in the past. Got up to a large lead. 16 was it? And
16 was their highest lead.
They were considering blowing it, I think.
They thought about it. They got in one of the team huddles and were like, hey, I know we did this last week, but it might be a good idea to do it again. And Pete Worth, thankfully, somebody decided that maybe we shouldn't blow 2 15-plus point leads in consecutive games.
It was the entire Marquette fan base, I think, is what did it.
It might have been.
The team was feared the wrath of Marquette Twitter if they did not hold on to the lead. As always, Marquette basketball fans just ecstatic with another victory online.
Just a jovial group of people that love their interaction.
Look at that! They said, "Look at that that young Steve Wojciechowski. That man sure is a winner. He knows how to lead those boys to victory." That's what we were all saying tonight.
10-point win over Providence. Trash.
That is something to get into. You know, we're going to talk about the game, obviously. That is something worth taking a moment for on this pod. Hell, why don't we do it right now before we get into the game? Pete Mohan valiantly did a solo pod after the disaster that was UConn. Personally, I got stuck at work and wasn't able to watch it live. Saw the world melting down on social media amongst this fan base. Pete, you watched it, so that naturally was hanging over everybody coming in to this one today. And
you would have thought that Pontius Pilate was on Twitter the way they were chanting, "Crucify him, crucify him."
Look, it's safe to say, Pete Worth, that this fan base is fragile right now. I mean, that's it, right?
Yes, we're on edge at all times due to the inconsistency, the blown leads, the disappointment.
Losing by 18 points to Georgetown, that freaked everybody out. And then coming back.
Yes, thankfully they came back. But the disappointment that stems from huge victories inevitably followed up with extremely disappointing losses. But this one is one we had to have because it sets the tone for the next stretch of the season where we are playing the bottom half of the Big East Conference for the most part, and this was probably outside of our next game against Providence on the road was probably our toughest one in this next 6-game stretch. I think it is. So had to have it. And I thought that, we had a number of significant contributors that had good performances tonight, but I thought far and away Kobe McEwen was our MVP. I know Dawson led the team in scoring, and he was great. But Kobe's job on David Duke, who is a very good player and a pro.
Yeah,
his defense is not where like Chris Dunn's is, but he is very talented offensively and a very, very strong athlete. And Kobe did a great job on him, and Duke came out hot, and Kobe answered him right off the bat, which I thought was huge for Kobe's confidence and for the team's confidence.
I thought it was a quiet. He ended up with 17 points. Did Kobe? I mean, it wasn't like, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying as good of attention as you, but like it just seemed like it was casual playing within himself. I mean, he only took 12 shots, but still generated 8 free throw attempts. Only made 5 of them, but also eight boards and 5 assists to no turnovers, 2 steals. Like the stat line is pretty much perfect for Kobe, other than shooting 2 for 7 from 3. But like 132 offensive rating. I mean, the guy played a great game, and I mean he's playing for me right now, at least. Well, this game specifically, better than I think a lot of people expect him to.
Yeah, it's just you get these games where he goes, something like 2 for 8 from the field and scores, 6-7 points and doesn't show up offensively, where it gets really frustrating for him. And
yeah, he's also not Marcus Howard though.
No, that's true, but he needs to play like he did tonight within himself, making the right play, not forcing things too much. But he was his strongest aspect of his game tonight, outside of his defense. His strongest aspect on the offensive end was taking it to the hoop, because he beat his guy off the dribble numerous times, and he was able to finish at the rim, which he's gotten a lot better at.
I mean, that's what we've been asking for, right?
Yeah.
And so let's ask this question: who gets the credit for that, Kobe or Wojo? Let's ask the fan base. Brian, what do you think? Who gets the credit for getting Kobe to go downhill to the basket?
I don't think I'd say Kobe, because obviously the kid's a scorer, and we know he has the ability to do it. While we can question some of his decision making from time to time, look, he's been as consistent as anybody this season. I'm not sure what that says about us as a whole.
Yep.
But
we think that I know exactly what that says, which is what we all know.
Yeah, and that's tough. Like I would say, listening to the three of us talk right now, I mean, not that we're going to throw a parade right now for a team that's 7-6 just because you got to win. But this was, you said it earlier, this was a big one tonight. And Pete, you laid it out perfectly with the schedule coming up. Marquette now 7-6 on the season. They go to 3-4 in the Big East. They had to have it, a schedule that has, like you said, Georgetown, DePaul, Providence again, Butler, and then they'll run into Creighton. But that's your next stretch of games. I'm glad Kobe played well tonight. I'll be honest, I'm at a point right now that they just need to stack W's. I don't care who it is on a given night. I'm glad it was him tonight to get him there, because if this team's goal is to make the NCAA tournament, they need wins, and they need to start putting them together quickly.
I think they're in position. I mean, with the shortened season and teams missing games and everything, and just the history of the strength of schedule of the Big East and everything, it seems like one of those years where going, I guess, this year 10-10 in Big East play, coupled with the Wisconsin I guess the Creighton win does count as Big East play too. But though having those two big wins in addition to going 500 in the Big East probably is enough to get this team into the tournament. I mean, that's, you're probably talking 10, 11 seed in that case. But I mean, they're 3-4 right now in Big East play and have two really solid wins and no really bad losses. So, you can talk about it all you want, but I would say right now that this team is currently on track or would be in the field if we went right today. I don't know. But
I hope
no playoffs talk yet, right?
Yeah, no, no, you're right on that. But I guess Pete Worth, as we looked at that schedule that's upcoming, kind of what Pete was just saying. Hey, we've got a couple good wins. We don't have any bad losses. St. John's, Georgetown, DePaul, Providence, Butler. They're going to lose two of those, right? Like that's kind of what this team. I'm not trying to be negative, but like, is anybody here sitting here going? They're going 5 and we're going to run off 6 in a row. Does anybody think this roster is capable of winning 6 games in a row in this conference? I don't care who it's against.
No.
Real question. Anybody out there respond to it on the comments?
I think well, you said the roster. I think the roster is capable of it. I mean, but I just don't think they're going to because they're just not that good to do it. They're not good enough to do it. They're capable of it if they grow and mature. But are they going to be able to do that in 6 games? Probably not. But I mean, the way that we played Oklahoma State, the way we play UCLA, the way we play UConn, we have these spurts where we play great ball. And because we have talent, but the talent just hasn't meshed fully to where, we can bring it out consistently. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say your point about maturity, maybe tonight, if we're going to look for a positive as a whole, this was a sign of it, right? I mean, as the lead dwindled down to, I think they got it down to 5 or 3.
2,
Providence did tonight.
1.
2, yeah.
Down to 1.
1, yeah. Forgive me. Like the fact that they didn't crumble and Providence never did actually take the lead or surge ahead, something probably has to be said for that.
Definitely. I think we have to talk about the depth. Not that this team has been really going super deep in the rotation, but I think we talked about this before, depth of guys who can hit a shot now, I think sometimes the problem in the past is if there's a guy with an open shot, we don't know if that guy is capable of making it. But like you saw tonight, Justin Lewis had a big corner 3 down the stretch. Jamal Cain had that big 3 in the Georgetown game. Obviously, we've seen DJ Carton hit big shots down the stretch. Kobe has proven he can do it. And Dawson has shown that he, can score in multiple ways. We haven't really seen him necessarily come up big in the clutch, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But what I'm trying to say is that's tough to defend. And as long as you can continue to get balanced contributions, I mean, this team is capable of, like you said, capable of winning games. I don't know about the winning streak, but if they play like tonight where they only turn the ball over 8 times, they're going to win a lot of games in Big East play. But we don't know if they can continuously hold on to the ball like that and string together great defensive performances game after game. That's yet to be seen.
Yeah, and Providence is known as a tough team. No, Providence is known as a tough team always with long athletic guys.
Yep.
And this iteration of Providence is no different than that. They don't really force that many turnovers, which is surprising, and their defense is very mediocre. I thought their on-ball defense was really poor. I mean, DJ and Kobe got into the paint at will, and you can look at as evidenced by the disparity in the points in the paint between the two of us. So, it's great that we didn't turn it over, especially when they went to that zone, and I was like, and a little kind of a pressure zone, and we handled that pretty well, thank God, because as soon as they went to that, I'm sure the rest of the fan base, like myself, was like, oh God, just don't throw it into the stands every other possession, and they didn't do that. So, and they were able to hold on to the ball well enough to win, and whether they can do that, game to game, it's anybody's guess.
Here's one more testament statistically to that before I let you go, Brian, is that in addition to the turnovers thing, Providence only blocked one of our shots. And it seemed like we've been getting, kind of turned away quite a bit in the paint in previous games. And to only have one shot taken off the board via block, that's helpful to scoring points as well. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to reach to similar things that have been said so far as I read the chat and what different people are saying. Jay, who's in there, God, I want to believe in this team so bad, but I just can't. MC Lee it made a good point, which I thought was interesting. Maybe this year they will be polar opposite of Wojo teams in the past. Maybe they showed early what they could be and will become as the season progresses. When I read things like that and I hear us talk, my brain, it goes to a place where I think, and I know I said it jokingly about the game tonight, but I really do think as a fan base, not just frustrated, but we're kind of turned off by this group as a whole right now, which is weird to say because, right, we were so damn excited after Wisconsin and bouncing off the walls after Creighton, and it goes to show, the roller coaster that fans ride. But if you judge it as a whole, this team has left you really wanting a lot more, and it's kind of been symbolic of the Wojo era. And that's where I'm glad they won tonight. That's an important step. It'll keep me watching going into the next game. But they really do need, like I said, they do need to get this fan base, I think, fully re-engaged. They need to rattle off 2, 3, 4 wins here to get everyone back on board, because I think everyone's kind of half there right now. To me,
I think there's a couple things. Let me ask you guys both this question first. What would you rather see from this team when you look at the schedule or our record at the end of the Big East season, that we took care of business against all of the bottom half of the teams and came up short against the good ones, or lose some of these games against, your DePauls and your Georgetowns? We lose a couple of those, but also pull out a win against Villanova or something, I mean, what do you prefer, or what do you see? I mean, I think both outcomes are possible, but it seems like the fan base is always like, oh, if we lose these games, then we're trash, but also we can't get over the hump and win the big game. And it's like, all right, first of all, pick a lane, but what is really valuable?
Let's back up. This is a completely mind warp. This fan base is completely warped from an expectation standpoint, right? You got the old heads who still think that Marquette being what it was in the 70s and early 80s is a realistic thing, and it's just not anymore. It's awesome that they were that for a stretch. There's a reason it's been 45 years since that existed. It's never going to be like that for a program. Then there's the group from, obviously you have groups in the 90s and through that early couple years of the 2000s where we just weren't on the national scene, period. So we have a group of our fan base that has seen us be irrelevant. Then you have this next group that comes in from the Wade through the end of the early 2000s, from Crean to Buzz, where they're in the mix every year and there's NBA talent. No, we're not competing for the national title, but we're good and it's fun, and we think Marquette's got another level. And now we're somewhere stuck between that and the 90s, and I don't know what the hell's going on. And we're all arguing of what it should be based on our own personal experiences.
Well, I think the big difference, first of all, between now and the 90s is that the conference we play in is a hell of a lot bigger and better. And I think, whatever the hell it was. Right. And I think that the guys that Wojo is pulling recruiting-wise, especially nowadays, part probably outpaces those teams recruiting by quite a bit.
Yeah, the recruitment rankings play a significant factor in this, I think, for sure. Especially with how well Wojo.
That's what sets the expectations for a lot of people, I think. Seeing Wojo snag these good high recruits and such.
Those numbers. I didn't think we were going to go to such a macro level there so quickly, Brian, but I wasn't quite prepared for that. But no, I think you're totally right. We have all these different segments of the fan base that see Marquette for exactly what you said, based on their own personal experiences. We see them as, I think the three of us and probably Mike and Eric feel the same way, that we see them as an upper echelon program that should be in the tournament every year and compete to make Sweet 16s and Elite Eights every year. That's how I see them. Is that realistic? Not lately, but it could be, and it should be with the kind of talent we're bringing in.
I would answer that, and this is not meant to be a jab at the current administration, but under the right coach, it can be. Under the right,
for sure, it's all about the coach.
Under the right leadership of this program, it's proven it can be. And right now, while there is part of me, and shame on me, and everybody in the chat can drag me for it, there is still, I'd say it's down to about 8%. 8% of me with Wojo has the Jay Wright thing clicking in my head. Now, the problem with that correlation is Jay Wright was really good through his first 10 years at Villanova, and they were a 1 seed once, and they had really good teams. They never won the Big East Conference, I don't think, but he had much better teams than Wojo's had through his first 7. But they didn't get legit elite until year 12, 13, 14. So maybe it's still out there in the future. The idea of having to wait another 7 years for it to click just makes me want to put my head in the sand. And you're right, Pete, I didn't mean to take it out to a giant macro level, but it just feels like with the way the program's being discussed, the team's being discussed, everybody's looking at it. Feels like the conversation around Marquette is from a bigger picture, and as opposed to what's it going to take to beat Providence.
Each game is analyzed to death, which is why we're here. We're happy to do it for.
Well, and I think each game, for better or worse, is used like as a strike against Wojo. You know, you mentioned it. People in the fan base have different perspectives. There's people out there who are going to find negatives in this game to hold against Wojo. Like, we let them claw back into this game when we were up by, 16.
That's going to happen, though, against decent competition. I really don't know about that.
But, I mean, that's just – it's gotten to because of the lack of postseason accomplishments in the Wojo era, for a lot of people, every fragment of something that's a negative symbol around this team or coming up short is used in their mind as evidence for the fire Wojo bandwagon.
That is as eloquently well stated as we've talked about that so far.
And I think that's unfair, especially for a team that's, relying on a lot of young talent that's really going to spend much of this year developing, to look at it so acutely on a game-by-game basis, especially in a game of basketball where there are these huge swings, 15 points in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes of game time, because guys get hot. These are really good teams in the Big East that are capable of putting together stretches of 5 minutes of great basketball. Even Marquette is. And that's going to happen.
We're not playing Fordham in the A10, where once you get up by 20, they're just going to roll over and die. Outside of DePaul, and I know obviously our personal experience with Georgetown, I think Georgetown's lousy this year. But you're right. There's nobody in this league you can take your foot off the gas for a little bit and think you're going to cruise. Obviously Creighton can a little bit. I think Villanova can a little bit when they're not, obviously on the sidelines like they are right now. They have the upper level. But outside of that, it's kind of a dogfight for everything in between. And yeah, look, we've proved it this year, right? We have days we can beat anybody, and we have days we can look pretty awful.
Right.
So
and that's why you can't take 5 minutes of basketball and project that as a macrocosm of Wojo and the entire program. That's all I'm saying.
I think what we really need is just a Big East laugher. We need one of those in the worst way to just have everybody take a deep breath. Because we've had 8 straight games now going back to UCLA. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 8 games that have been, close, 2 possession games, all the way down the stretch. Oh, except for Villanova. Sorry, forgot about that one. But
I think it's going to be Georgetown. That team really sucks, and we should have blown them out the first time, to be honest.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like me, when I'm watching the game as a fan, you want to just have your team play the perfect game, right?
Yeah.
Like,
which is unrealistic.
You know that's not going to happen. You know it's unrealistic. But when you see your team get out to a 16-point lead, all you want them to do is to turn that into a 32-point lead. And so when they don't, and they start, giving it back, and the other team starts playing a little better, and your team has a history of giving up those sorts of leads, then you just get this kind of sinking feeling in your chest where, the team's bad, the coach is bad. Oh, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? This sucks. I find myself yelling, all those things at the TV. But you're right. You guys are right. Like that game, that perfect game is few and far between. We just want the consistency of being able to close out victories when they present themselves. Thankfully, we did that tonight, and hopefully we can for the next few games.
And I think just one more thing on that, is like with the craziness of basketball, I think that it's hard for us to acknowledge that a lot of other fan bases go through that exact same feeling. I mean, shit, you even like driving through North Carolina and you happen to catch a Duke basketball game on the radio and you hear the fans calling in post game because they lost to NC State or something. And, they're giving Krzyzewski a hard time. I mean, like, that's a thing that happens. Yeah. Fan bases are unhappy with performances in games. It's not unique to the Marquette experience to be let down in basketball.
And Pete, that's terrific perspective. I'm personally in Detroit working. The entire local media here and local fan base people it's hilarious. They've completely turned on Tom Izzo. Not totally, but like in a sense of how he's coaching this year's Michigan State team, which sure, like I'm not saying the guy's not doing a perfect job and deserves critique, but it is kind of laughable, right? Like somebody with that resume and a fan base is going nuts over it. Pete, I'm sure you follow Illinois basketball. Mohan, I know you're in Massachusetts. You see, I'm sure, a bunch of different Big East and ACC teams and people talking about them. Like, yeah, I mean, everybody goes through this. I want to take it back to get your immediate reaction to one other point from the chat. And I thought MC Lee here says it really well. I don't want to have to worry about what it will change that. Nope, that's the wrong one. Where is it? I lost it. Personally, I just want to get to the point where when I wake up, I'm truly excited for the game at night. There is no record correlation with that. That is perfect, I think, because I did not wake up today thinking, I can't wait to watch Marquette tonight. I'll be perfectly honest. I didn't. I knew I was going to because I enjoy talking with you guys and it's fun to interact with everybody, but I wasn't fired up for Marquette Providence. Wasn't.
What I think what we want to see and what any college fan base wants to see is their team have an identity and their team have a system in place that they can count on where they know it's going to give them a good chance of winning. Like I always talk about Villanova just because I love Jay Wright's offensive system. And each player that plays for Villanova does the same exact thing when they get the ball. They get it, they move it quickly, they make quick decisions. They either drive, they kick, or they either drive the kick or they shoot. and it's really beautiful to watch when it's working well. What is that system, or what is a system that Wojo can put into place? Not all of them are going to be as aesthetically pleasing as watching a Villanova team with a lot of good shooters out there. But I feel like the way that we get to that point is by having the confidence in our ability to play our certain brand of Marquette basketball, whatever that may be. We had it with Buzz, where our guys are going to be tough as hell, and they're going to fight like hell, and they're going to which may not be great words after this past week, but they're going to hold on to the ball, and we've still been searching for that.
I don't think we've had Marcus Howard, that's our offensive identity through the Wojo era, That's been it. And now it just makes it more pronounced, the search for what that is on a team where you have, I think they said on the broadcast, 5 guys between 13 points and 8 points per game. I mean, it's hard to have a complete offensive identity when the scoring is that balanced. I think a lot of times when you think of identity with a team, outside of a Villanova or I don't know, Harvard, these teams that have very distinct offensive styles, usually you're associating whatever style of play with a certain group of players, in a squad. I don't know, some of those Missouri teams that, really got out and run and,
Oh, you really had to go there after our senior year?
Actually, was Mike?
Never forget Team English. Never forget.
Oh, is that St. John's coach?
Lazar,
or did I just
Lazar stepping over the inbounds line? Me sobbing, walking out of Caffrey's hammered drunk at 11 a.m. or whatever time it was.
That was
1
fun,
a.m.
man. That was
1
good.
p.m. Sorry.
It was fun. That was a shitty outcome of that game. For those who became Marquette fans in the 2010s decade, flip back to the 2009 NCAA tournament when they lost to Missouri. It was a brutal ending to that game. Absolutely brutal for those. So shout out to those who have been around for a dozen years and saw that one at least. I think this discussion was warranted, and this was a great time of the season to have it. We weren't planning on having this discussion tonight, and it just kind of got that way. It's worth stating again, Marquette beats Providence. You wouldn't know that listening to our voices a little bit throughout this. 79-69. They move on again where they'll take on St. John's on Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern. I would assume that's at the on-campus arena. There's no way they're playing games at Madison Square Garden these days. So you'll get St. John's. That is important, and you need to turn it into a second straight victory. Any thoughts guys, looking to the next opponent, or do you want to move on to the junk drawer here?
Carnesecca. We don't really play well there, do we?
No, we don't. Not lately. I didn't want to bring it up, but since
no Shamori Pons, though.
Oh, you got to bring that asshole up. God damn it.
Bubbles loves Shamori Pons.
Oh,
favorite Big East player of all time.
Couldn't guard him. Nobody wanted to guard him.
I don't think anyone from St. John's is putting up 40 on us in this game.
Let's just talk briefly about Dawson Garcia, because I believe he is in the bullet points. He scored 20. He was great offensively, great assertiveness, especially at the beginning of the game. I thought what contributed to us losing the lead a little bit down the stretch, making it a little closer game, was we were forcing a little too much and not playing through Dawson, because I think there was, I'm just making shit up right now, but 5 or 6 possessions where, in that kind of crucial stretch midway through the second half where we were not getting in the ball as nearly as much as we should. And if I see another, Theo John hook shot during crunch time, I'm going to freaking throw my bottle of beer through the TV. But great performance by Dawson tonight. And great from the free throw line. Great overall. I said great about 20 times, and I'm going to stick with that.
Okay, I want to say, before we get to the junk drawer, that was a perfect segue and fusion, You fans might also see on the bullet points second to last, I put be the difference. Should be a familiar turn of speech for many of you.
Are you about to be the difference on this podcast?
I'm proposing a new recurring segment prior to the junk drawer, which is a little more focused, in which each one of the people here says which player they thought were being the difference in this game. Kind of like an MVP, but like it doesn't have to be, it could be a game-saving save out of bounds. Who is your Marquette be the difference player?
May I go first, Peter?
Go ahead.
You may go first, Brian.
I guess I'm going to go for a game that I didn't think was very memorable. I'll reach for the most memorable moment, and I'm going to say that I'm going to give it to Justin Lewis for that three that he hit in the corner. I thought that was the biggest shot of the game, and
That's
that was
not the moment I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, that's the one I'd go for.
I thought you were going to say his dunk. Right? Was it right before
the
that?
Dunk was incredible, but we know he can shoot threes. He hasn't shot them at a high clip this year, so him knocking down a big shot in a big spot with a corner three, that's why I give it to Justin Lewis.
Yeah, we could spend another 20 minutes on Justin. Maybe that's for another pod, but it was good to see him bounce back a little bit today. He has definitely struggled, especially when he's trying to kind of like take over games, when he's trying to dribble a little too much. He turns the ball over, but if he plays kind of within himself too, like he did tonight, good things happen for us. If I'm going to pick my be the difference player, I'm going Theo John. Because
all those hook shots in the last 3 minutes.
No, because he whipped the ball to with a beautiful one-handed pass to Jamal Cain in the corner, who knocked down the three to put us up 5 when they had just cut it to 2 with about 3:30 to go. Because I was just texting my cousin about how much I hate Jamal Cain tonight. And then he hits the 3, and it was all set up by Theo. And Theo had a few other moments like that. He got away with a really egregious call on that block. That was a pretty pivotal moment in the game. But some blocks, some key assists, good rebounds, good block shots tonight for him. So a underestimated performance, perhaps, for Theo John, and might be the difference player.
Mohan?
Well, I'm going to have to counter.
Be the difference here. What do you got?
I'm going to have to counter what Neighbor just said by being displeased with Jamal Cain. Jamal Cain is my be the difference guy tonight because
nobody going to Jake Harton. Wow, bold. All right.
No, because Jamal is like your favorite pillow.
Colin Cowherd segment.
You just take him for granted sometimes. But when really 90% of your comfort and really that crucial sleep that you count on a night-to-night basis, he provides that. Sure, you wake up with a crick in your neck every once in a while. Are you throwing away your favorite pillow because of that? No. Jamal Cain, sure, he led the team with 3 turnovers. But I like the way that he's playing loose out there. There's the previous years of Jamal Cain's career, he always looked like he's thinking out on the court. And frankly, I'm happy to see the guy turn the ball over a little bit. Let him get loose. Let him feel like he's in the flow of the game.
You're killing Pete Worth right now.
He is
dying inside.
Yeah, his handle was loose, and he missed a shot and then clapped his hands and didn't run down the floor after that. That was a terrible play on his part. But gosh darn it, if you're sleeping on a friend's couch and you don't have your favorite pillow with you, you're missing that thing.
That's commitment to the bit right there by Mohan. He got back to the pillow, really drove it home.
Nobody should be taking Jamal Cain for granted, because if he, God forbid, turns an ankle or something and misses a couple games, we're going to take L's. This guy is crucial to stirring the drink. That's Jamal Cain. Be the difference.
Pillow soft when he drives down the middle of the lane. I'll say that.
No one said he's a good ball handler. No one said that.
All right, to the junk drawer. There's surprisingly, I think, a decent amount to hit. We've actually, for this group, we never prepare shit, but we actually kind of talked about some stuff ahead of time. Let's shouts to Artie Sheboygan, junk drawer leadoff. Will we ever see the return of 3-0 John? No, no, we never will. Not in meaningful games, at least.
He missed one. He missed one, so his 3-point shooting career is now done.
Yes, I think it's done. Pete Worth, lead us off on the junk drawer tonight.
Okay, I got one, and then if time allows, which it's up to us, so it probably will. I'll do another, but
I'm gonna grab a beer as you start telling this, so keep going.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll make it fast because our beloved Marquette alumnus of just last season, 2020, Marcus Howard scores his first NBA points in a game against the New York Knicks in an arena in which he scored many, many points, Madison Square Garden. He will be the feature of a Denver Nuggets segment on Twitter, which I should have wrote down, but I didn't. Just look up Marcus Howard Nuggets on Twitter. They're doing a little, feature on him for 30 seconds or whatever, 5 minutes. Who knows?
Cheers to Marcus. Way to go, kid. NBA
cheers
player.
to Marcus.
Way to go.
Got a bucket
Points.
in the NBA. And I think I saw somewhere that he's now like 10th all-time Marquette basketball players in the NBA scoring-wise. Or something.
Oh, come on. He can't be 10th.
18th? I don't know.
Okay,
We're
18th.
we're not big on specifics here.
That's true. Yeah, it's a Pop the Trunk production, no doubt. Pete cheers to Marcus, no doubt. Way to make the NBA, kid. Pete Mohan.
First of all, for posterity's sake, since my my singular pod and after the loss last week, there happened to be an armed insurrection of the nation's capital, and that happened. That was some junk. That was some.
I'm sorry. What?
That was some junk. Anyways, back to the basketball front. Marquette recruit center Jonas Adu from next year's recruiting class shot up recruiting ranking boards. Rivals has him now as the I think 33rd best player in the country, which is huge, literally and figuratively. I can't remember the last time we had a super highly ranked, like pure types. I mean, obviously you got Dawson Garcia and Henry Ellenson. They're more, stretch fours, one might say, than pure centers. I don't remember us pulling a recruit this legit that can anchor our defense in a long time. I don't know. Do you guys know anything like that? Maybe some people in the chat would know. Last time we
yeah, I remember him. His name was Yusufa Mbao.
What?
Oh God, that's
he was not. Cut. He was like a 2-star, dude.
He just wanted to say Yusufa Mbao.
The name just popped into my head just now, so I just had to say
Mbao.
He's the
one
year and gone.
Ooh, all right. Let's. This is a perfect junk drawer. I'm going to ask you guys to rank these players. All right. How would you rank these players? Dwight Burke, Chris Otule, Mike Kinsella, and Theo John. How would you rank those 4 players?
On talent, what are we ranking? Talented basketball players, moments that made me jump out of my seat.
Over their tenure. Contributions over their tenure.
Oh, if it was one singular moment, I mean, we all know the one singular moment out of those 4 players was game day for Mike Kinsella against Pitt with the 2 3-pointers. I mean, come on.
He hit the first three shots, all 3-pointers out of the game. He scored the first 9 points. Building went bonkers. All he did was hit 3 shots, and the absolute roof came down. Starting for, I forget who was hurt or why he had to start that game, but for those, another deep cut. Mike Kinsella, late Tom Crean era center. Let's see. Chris O'Toole. Chris O'Toole was program for 6 goddamn years. Crean recruited him. He played under Buzz. He played under Buzz's all 5 of Buzz's seasons.
By far our best one.
God, he was a starter. Yeah, by far the best one-eyed player in program history. He started for 3 years. Theo's been a 3-year. Theo's a 3-year starter.
We apologize.
Who else did you throw in there?
We love you.
D Bundles, Dwight Burke.
I mean, Dwight Burke, the tip slam against Georgetown his junior year was unbelievable. The fact that Buzz came into post games regularly and told the media, we love Dwight, but Dwight can't play. And that endured him even more because the head coach would openly say he would draw lines on where he was comfortable of players shooting from, and he would draw a line literally just right around the hoop on the board. He's like, that's where Dwight shoots from. We don't let Dwight shoot outside of that. And I was like, you know what?
We got to get Dwight Burke.
D Bundles. Oh, great dude. Honest to God, I swear to God, his calling, he should have been a right tackle for somebody. They could have put another 50 pounds on him, and he would have looked like a kid at Alabama last night at right tackle. He was 6'8", built a muscle, 250 pounds, strong as an ox, and great guy.
Well,
God, who am I going? All right, so I got to rank them.
Yeah.
It took us a long time to get to.
Well, that's not my fault. You guys didn't.
Yeah.
That was our problem.
If I'm going purely on basketball talent, it's Theo John 1, Dwight 2, Otule. No, Theo John 1, Otule 2, Dwight 3, Kinsella 4.
That's what
there
I
you go.
say.
What a useless list. That was great.
Come on,
that's Marquette.
Why didn't you throw Jameel Watt into the list or Ryan Amoroso or
a lot of mosquitoes?
Where's Trent Blackledge? What's he doing these days?
Hopefully, I know what you're doing, Pete. I see what you're doing there. You're
Trevor Mbakwe,
naming all of the former or current mediocre Marquette centers to set up Jonas Adu being by far and away the best Marquette center in history. I see exactly what he did there.
Correct. Yep.
The chat is asking, did you select literally the most random Marquette players out of a hat and name them off there? I know Theo's not a random Marquette player because of currency. The other three, Otule, 3-year starter, less random. The other two, man, deep
Artie
cuts.
Sheboygan says Tommy Bryce, and I personally will never like Tommy Bryce.
Oh yeah, because you still contend you're better than Tommy Bryce.
I contend that I am better at basketball than Tommy Bryce. I actually tried out for the Marquette basketball team. This is the Real Chili podcast might not know this. I tried out for the Marquette basketball team my freshman year. I played pretty well. I hit some 3-pointers. I didn't do anything else because that's my game. And then Tommy Bryce, who wasn't even there, got on the team. I was pissed off. Always happened.
Because they took one look at you. What are you, 6'1"?
No, I'm 5'10". Of course they didn't.
5'10". Who the hell were you guarding in that practice?
I don't know. The other 5'10" guy there.
Tommy Bryce was like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, I know, but he didn't show up. He wasn't there, so they just gave him the whole thing was for naught.
Because he probably had a hookup. Be less bitter about it. You were never going to make the damn team.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I gotta say here in the chat,
I'm saying I hate Tommy Bryce.
Shocked to see Matthew, Joseph S., and MC Lee all rattled off Otule as their top guy 3 in a row.
He was a pretty damn. He had a nice career. He really did.
He did. He really put it together his third senior year.
I still remember. I don't know how well you guys remember this, but we got to the game late. We not that the stories before the game matter that much to this group, but it was late in our senior year. We threw some wild tailgate at our place. Got to the game late. Back in these days, Marquette used to put 4,000 plus students in the student section easy. So when you got there 5 minutes after tip-off, you were going to the very top of the Bradley Center. And I still remember sitting up there when we played Syracuse our senior year, which was somewhere in February on a Saturday. And whatever the bigs were for Syracuse that year, which, this is late 08, 09, they were just murdering us. And Crean looks down to the bench. It was 08, yeah. And grabs Otule. He's like, we need some size, and throws him out there. And everyone's going, no, Your kid's not ready. Don't do it. And he went out there and got dunked on 2-3 plays in a row and came right out of the damn game. Like Cream put him right back up.
If my memory serves, I
that?
want to say Chinze Onuaku.
Look it up. It was the game. Johnny Flynn hit a shot late to beat us. McNeil had a great game, but I just remember whatever their bigs were eating. Dwight couldn't guard all of them, and they put Otule in as a 18-year-old freshman, and he just got shit on for 3 straight possessions. I felt terrible for him.
Speaking of
and the
eating,
fact that he went from that moment to being a 3-year starter, good on you, Chris Otule. That was awesome.
Yeah, he was surprisingly good, and a big fan of the broken yoke, as we all know, which it probably doesn't exist anymore. But speaking of eating,
gone?
Everything's gone, Brian.
It wasn't very good. But if I hear one more broadcaster say that Theo John eats weights and act like nobody's ever said that before, I'm going to just turn my TV off for like 5 seconds and then turn the game back on. I'm so sick of that. It's like, we get it. The guy lifts a lot of weights.
I think you're talking about Stephen Bardo. You should direct your complaints at Stephen Bardo.
No.
Yeah.
Bar
don't next time.
Bar don't say that.
No, I'm saying everybody says it. Every commenter says it. Like it's like a cool fact that they all just learned. But like everybody knows that Theo John eats weights. Like we get it. It was funny the first time, but it's not funny anymore.
It's crazy that you can like eat weights and gain muscle. That's insane to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the human body digested steel like that.
Very
dope.
I'll end with one final junk drawer note, and it's super quick. How do we get Marquette games on Nickelodeon? I think it might be the only way to make some of them tolerable. What a great idea by the NFL. Give me Woj covered in slime. Give me Wojo covered in slime. I want to see players' favorite ice cream color. That was wonderful. Give me that in college basketball. Somebody make that happen.
Yeah, I think any team that gets down 20 should be slimed for the rest of the game.
Any team
play with green goo all over them.
Yeah.
Yeah, any team that loses to DePaul has to play in slime the next game.
Just have the DePaul rule.
Right. If you lose to DePaul, your next game is automatically televised on Nickelodeon, and you will be covered in slime.
Much like the Henry rule in our fantasy league a couple years ago.
Also, I want to see the just the jumping man. You know, he's the only guy allowed in the stands. Put him in the stands, but then have him going up and down into the giant nose from
that dude's got to be like 70
Double Dare
now. Is he really
is that
still
the game?
doing it?
Yeah,
Family Double Dare where you reach up in the giant nose to get the flag, right?
Right.
I want the jumping man jumping in and out of that nostril. That's what I want. That's my Nickelodeon ask.
That would be good. But it's unfortunate that the Bears game was that game because I was really hoping for a much more entertaining.
No, it was so much better. That's what it needed to be.
Well, it also so a bit of personal news. I'm no longer a Bears fan. I just made.
Shut up.
Officially.
No, can you mute his mic, Pete? Mute his mic. I don't want to hear this bullshit.
All right.
Fuck you.
Fine.
You're a fucking Bears fan. We're gonna
have
fun doing it. They're gonna start 4-0 next year. Don't give me that bullshit. If I show up on opening day next year, God damn it, you can too. Jesus.
No, son, I was a Bears fan up until 2 weeks before you were born.
I've never cared about
I will
the Bears
add this though.
You have the Lions, so
not that anybody else needs to hear our NFL takes because they're not any better than our college basketball ones. But Pete Mohan, I don't know where you're at, but as sad Lions fans on this group, I am bitter about one thing. It was cool to see the Browns win a playoff game last week, but I am straight up serious. If the fucking Cleveland Browns make it to the Super Bowl, like, I won't be able to handle that. Will not be able to handle it. Like, I am rooting very hard against the Browns from here on out, purely out of spite, because I like saying the fact that the Lions and Browns have not been to the Super Bowl. Can't take them making it.
Well, not only that, but the 0-16 thing. You know,
exactly. They stole our shine on the 0-16 thing.
Right.
And now they're going to get to the Super Bowl first. I can't be okay with that. So, hey, that's our podcast. We talked about a lot of random bullshit. Some big picture stuff about the team. Marquette wins again tonight. If anybody cares about that out there, beat Providence 79-69. Final thoughts, Pete Worth. What you got?
It was a must-win. I thought it was a must-win to get this stretch off to a good start against the softer side of the Big East schedule. We got it done. I'm happy about that. I'd also just need to point out, so I am about to be a father here in any day now. And so I don't know when my next live podcast or any podcast.
The answer is never.
But I will certainly, if time allows, I will certainly try, and I certainly intend to keep up.
Pour one out for soon-to-be dad Pete Worth. Pete, we're so happy for you. We're proud of you. We're terrified for you, but thankfully your wife will, I'm sure, make it feasible for you.
We all know the kid's going to be weird as hell, so it's going to be fun.
Cheers.
Don't want him coming out in a Brooks Brothers suit. Then we'd be there. But cheers to you, Pete. Congratulations. Pete will be a new dad. We'll have an update on that whenever. Pete will take some time away from the pod to never sleep. So that'll be good.
Yep.
Looking forward to that. All right. For Pete Worth, Pete Mohan, for the editor-in-chief, Mike Lavender, and Eric Pond, who are unable to be with us tonight, I'm Brian Henry. This is the Real Chili Podcast. Thanks for being with us. Jesus Christ, it's 12:30 a.m. on the East Coast. Yeah, I don't have to get up for work tomorrow. Sure, why not? Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later. Have a good one.
I am
Marquette.
Crook.
Peace.
But really, I do have to get up.